My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next.
We're back, man. Boot Camp Podcast.
Yeah,
that's what we're calling it. Let's talk about keeping your word.
Come on,
right? I mean, you gotta have guys that you can talk to about things, and they're not gonna go, "Oh, you'll never believe, honey, what Gian told me today." You know. So Jesus talks about that. He says you should be a man of your word.
Yeah.
Jesus invented this idea of your yes is your yes and your no is your no.
Come on.
So, boys, make promises. Pinky promise.
Ooh,
yeah. Okay. But men keep their word. So who is the best
men
example?
arm wrestle. We don't pinky promise. Come on.
That's right. I don't know if we want. I'm not really a good arm wrestler.
I don't neither, man.
So hey, talk to me about examples of manhood in your life, and did those men keep their word? If they didn't, maybe how did that impact you? And then maybe talk about yourself. Times you've either, if you're willing to share, screwed up. But I didn't introduce you guys.
All right.
Do you want to introduce yourself, and then I'll add to it?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm Shane, and I'm a chiropractor. I own my own facility, and basically married, 2 kids. Nothing too crazy, I guess.
Well, dude, you're an incredible.
Come on.
Right here in Chatsworth, Cairo Fit. You've seen
we
Cairo
go.
Fit. You've seen it on Topanga.
There we go.
Man, Shane's been working on me for a long time. He does the cupping for me, just right. So
A lot of cupping, a lot of muscle work, adjustments.
That's how you
Just
know you
basically
do jiu-jitsu when you
exercise,
have the
rehab
on your back, right? That's how you know you're a jiu-jitsu fighter.
Yeah, well, one time I had thrown out my back or something, and it was like I had to preach that morning. It's 7 a.m.
Come on.
I went to his spot, and he's like, take off all your clothes, and I'm like, it's a little early, and he's like, no, this is how this works, Justice, because I never went to a chiropractor, but now I'm older. And then you run all of our family ministries at the church, and oversee the next gen, and so I scooped you out of the world. You were running a business.
Sheep.
No, you were running a business, and I was like, hey, come do all this kid stuff for us.
Yeah, no, Justice had no idea that I worked with kids and I coach kids, and it worked really well for me to go into that fit, and started as the family life director, and now I'm the next gen pastor, and I get to work with the families and the youth and the young adults, and it's been a blessing. It's been a true blessing.
But I feel like you'll be back on the podcast because you have so many amazing stories about coming, like who you were before and now. But let's talk about men who kept their word. Who was your best example, Shane? Who was it?
I'd say best example of a man, I guess, who is I gotta say my dad, I guess, with that a little bit. But I mean, of a man, I think, he taught me a lot of things about how to be a good husband, how to be a good father, how to show love, and how to be affectionate, I guess, which a lot of men aren't.
No, this is rare what you're saying.
So, and he grew up, he's half Mexican, so he grew up in a Mexican household, and he was super affectionate.
Mexican father, affectionate.
Super,
You don't really see that.
No, so not at all.
Wow.
So.
Well, what about you? Best example of a man?
Best example. Well, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. You talked about a good example of a father. I didn't have a great example of a father, but let's just keep it good. I had a really good next door neighbor. My mom was a single parent, so she raised me and my brother. My dad wasn't there, but a good example. I had a great next door neighbor who I saw like an uncle. And this was the man who was a God-fearing man. Read his word. I would walk in to play video games with his kids, and he'd be reading his word. And so I saw that daily. You know what I mean? Anytime I would hang out with his kids.
What video games were you playing in the 90s?
Come on now, you're playing wrestling. You're playing a little WWF wrestling.
That was the best. That was the best.
Oh, were you?
On N64?
That was the best,
no,
of course.
on Sega Genesis.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
Sega Genesis, yeah. You get the Ultimate Warrior, you get Hulk Hogan,
Lex Luger.
Oh,
see what's up?
I was going to say the best example of a man that I had other than my dad was Hulk Hogan.
Ooh, okay.
Right? Hulk Hogan, right? Say your prayers, eat your vitamins.
Yeah.
And then I also had Mr. T.
Well, come on.
But I feel like there's a lot of guys who don't even know about Mr. T. Mr. T, he had a TV show called Be Somebody. Well, it was awesome.
I was a big sports guy, so I was always Deion Sanders, Michael Jordan, Bo Jackson, Bo Noah.
Deion Sanders. That's the last time That's the last time Cowboys were in the Super Bowl.
You're absolutely right.
They almost made it this year, but that was 1994.
Oh my God!
Right?
Yeah,
Prime time.
95. Yeah, prime
Deion
time.
Sanders, prime time, bro.
Yeah, prime time. Yeah,
he's been all over the internet lately, talking about his faith.
Oh, he's doing a whole lot.
That's
a whole lot.
The only thing I know about football is 90s Dallas Cowboys, like
that was
Troy Aikman, Jimmy Johnson, Michael Irvin.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That was that. Not having a father.
Emmett Smith, bro. I had an Emmett Smith
dude.
jersey, bro.
Oh, everyone had a Dallas jersey, right? Everyone had a Dallas jersey. Everyone had like a Yankee hat, like growing. Like that was your thing. You're a Cowboys fan, a Yankee fan.
No,
like
bro, we're on the West Coast. We don't wear Yankee hats. Dude.
Oh.
No, you
Oh.
get lit up, bro. You
Really?
catch a fade wearing a freaking Yankees
Really?
hat. Yeah.
I
dude.
could have swore I saw a few Yankee hats.
Remember when I first met you? I was like, take that Yankee. Remember I used to always bust you. I'm like, bro, get yourself a freaking
I was
LA
filming pre-show one time
Yeah.
wearing a Yankee hat and a Yankee jacket, and he was like, "Who is this guy?" At my church filming. That's
why I didn't wear it today, right?
Here. And now we're big online. We're on the East Coast. We're everywhere. You know what
There
I mean?
we go,
Just
there we
saying,
go.
you know,
Oh, that's
you
what
know,
it was. But you remember back in the day with role models, it was like even like you were talking about Bo Jackson and Wayne Gretzky and like all these guys when we were kids, they had to be great to become famous because there was no internet.
Yep.
You actually had to be actually great. Now you can just be famous because
Oh,
you're
easy.
viral.
100%.
So back then you actually had to be exceptional.
Yep.
And then there was the pressure to be a role model. Remember?
Definitely,
It was
yeah.
like
Definitely.
you had to steward the responsibility. Now
absolutely.
people go, I'm famous, I'm not a role model, don't
Oh,
follow
yeah.
me.
No.
But back then you just were a responsibility. If you had
Yeah.
a platform, you needed to steward it,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah.
And so that's the way it should work. You know,
100%.
you should realize what God's given you. But so we would look to men and even like a Hulk Hogan or a Mr. T or these athletes were role models. And then when they would fail, it was like devastating.
Oh yeah,
because it was
Yeah.
oh
like,
yeah.
Oh,
When
definitely.
Jordan, his gambling thing, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
all that stuff went in. Then his father had that issue. They brought
Yeah.
it all on him, and he was just the worst. He left the NBA, and
Yeah.
he was just ridiculed.
Bro, they ripped Tiger Woods.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
They just, I was like, dude.
Yeah. But he was social media time. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah,
He
yeah,
got
yeah,
that-
sure.
There was a lot of guys who
Yeah.
passed all.
OJ
these-
Simpson?
Yeah.
Okay, everybody makes mistakes. You know what I mean? Jeez.
If the glove,
Justice
if the glove doesn't fit, right? You must have quit, right?
The glove doesn't-
Yeah.
Okay, so we got to talk about keeping your word.
Yeah.
Now, you guys both, you serve at church, you run your own businesses, you you also work for freedom, and I know your work ethic. You've never been late a day since
Come
you
on,
started working
talk
for me.
about it.
You're the
There we go.
first one there.
Come on.
You've never missed the gym in the morning. Let's
No.
talk
There
about
we
that.
go.
No.
So I don't know. I mean, I have to tell people that because you don't. Maybe I'm just gonna let them know that. So just kidding.
It's all good. It's all good. I'm comfortable.
But I would say that you are a man of your word.
Amen.
And you are 100% a man of your word.
Thank you.
And that translates into every area of your life, making you strong men who are influential as a father, as a husband, and in your careers. I just think every man should be known as a man of their word.
Come
and
on.
I think that's why
Definitely.
Jesus said you shouldn't have to swear on your mommy. You shouldn't have to swear on the temple.
Talk about it.
Because your yes
Yeah.
is your yes and your
Yeah.
no is your no. Like, you don't need a cosigner. You don't need a voucher. If you say you're going to do it, you're going to do it.
Hello.
Exactly.
You know, I think even with my kids, like, I've had to be careful to make sure that I won't make, that every time I say something,
Yeah.
I want to make sure
Oh,
I do
you
it.
got to be
Yeah,
super
yeah, yeah.
careful. Oh, they'll remember every little.
Yeah.
Do you remember when you said we were going to go to McDonald's after church?
Yep. Yep.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
what? Yeah, you said
Oh,
to
yeah.
go back in class because we were going to go. Like, my daughter remembers everything.
Yeah, dude.
Did you say Cheesecake Factory? I heard you say cheesecake. No, I did not say. They'll remember everything.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that's a lot where my like me making sure I was going to keep my word, because that was my father's biggest thing was like, oh, I'll pick you up next week. Oh, I'll be there next week.
yeah.
Right? Hey, I get paid next week. I'm gonna take you and your brother shopping, and he never showed up. Let's be very clear. And
Yeah.
Wow.
I would be waiting. And my brother, he was older. He was 5 years older than me. So he knew. By the time he was like 16, he was like, man, he ain't showing up.
Wow.
And so I'm 11 years old, just waiting, right? But even earlier than that, 8,
Yeah.
9, 10, waiting every year.
Wow.
Then eventually, you get to your 13, 14, you're like, you're not going to play me anymore.
Yeah.
And you're not going to hurt me anymore. But I made sure I was going to keep my word. When I had my son, we had our children, my wife and I made sure that I was going to keep my word, whatever it was. In fact, I used it against me sometimes where I would tell my wife, oh, I always keep my word. Like, it was like, whoa, how does that help the situation?
But it probably comes from woundedness.
Oh, 100%.
Right? Just like your thing
Yeah.
is like a lot. The way we
100%.
act, the way we do for a reason, a lot of times is woundedness.
Yeah.
We make vows. Oh, I'm not going to be like my dad,
Oof.
or I'm not going to be like I'm
Exactly.
not going to let that happen to me
Yeah.
again. And we can be very critical of other people who we recognize deficiencies.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm judgmental about you in that area because it reminds me of me.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
we can. I mean, I know for me, it's like I'm a man of my word too. It comes from.
Yeah.
Probably comes from a wound
Yeah.
that I'm trying to heal. Don't you know that God's the one who does the healing?
Hello.
But
Amen.
we work on ourselves. We
Yeah.
put into practice. I think some guys are just tell small lies.
Yep.
You know, and don't keep their words in the little area. I mean, keeping your word could mean showing up to work on time.
Yeah.
100%.
Come on.
Right? I mean, you
Hello.
get paid to be there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hello.
You know? So it's like that's part of being faithful
Yep.
is showing up to work on time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Accepting
So-
your planning center request.
Yes. If you're serving the church. Or, you know, about like serving at church.
Yeah.
You know, just showing up, like you
100%.
said. Or keeping that lunch appointment. You know what I mean? I didn't have to worry that you guys were going to text me today. And be like, oh, never mind, I can't make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
of
I
course.
knew you guys keep
But
your
that's
word.
the culture now, though.
Yeah.
That's the culture
Oh,
where
definitely.
you just expect people to be like, oh, I'm gonna flake. I'm not gonna be there. Even family member, hey, I can't make it for Thanksgiving. What do you mean you can't make it for Thanksgiving?
Nah.
What are you doing?
How many appointments do you have a week?
This week I have 139. In 4 days. So I'm
What?
taking Friday off. Yeah.
100
So, yeah.
Mic check. Did you hear that? Mic check.
139 appointments,
Whoa.
dude.
Hopefully it goes up.
Just
That's why I couldn't get in this week. Got it.
gorilla hands, bro.
Just
I'll get you
going
in.
in.
Don't worry, bro.
Going in.
I got you.
100 and, did you say 39?
139.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
How many of those 139 appointments did people flake?
Oh, dude, there's so many.
How many?
Oh.
I hate to say it. I mean, there's probably a 10% thing where people flake. Well,
1 out of 10?
not just flake. They call out, but they're like, oh, I got late at work. Oh, I got this. And it's like, yeah, I wanted to be at work late too because you're supposed to be here, you know, but it's like.
But that costs you because
100%.
you have a spot there that could have gone to somebody
Yeah.
else.
Exactly. Exactly.
Man.
You guys already factored that in? Like when you have 100, oh, we know we're going to only
You kind of
get-
know there's going to be a little bit of that, and there's only so much you can do about it, to be honest. I mean, we do say we're going to charge like a.
Do you give them a
fee,
little
but-
tighter on the back when they come to that? Oh, you missed last week.
A little elbow from the
Just
top
letting you
ropes,
know.
right? I mean,
it's not tight. Now it is.
No,
Yeah.
you don't know this. He actually walks on the back. He has these bars that he holds. You haven't seen him do this?
I do.
Yeah, he's up on the back and he's
No.
Yeah.
I have not seen that one.
don't do that.
I don't think
I don't do
think
that.
I've
I don't do
had
that.
it.
I don't do that at all.
It's an Eastern.
Not at all.
Yeah.
You're gonna freak everybody. You're gonna freak everybody out. You're gonna freak everybody out.
I'm light as a feather.
How do I ask you this without putting our church on blast? Because you have 200 probably volunteers in the kids department, right? So like, what are close to that? So what you know? These are mentors.
Yeah.
Life comes up.
Come on.
Probably I don't know how many every weekend you schedule, but. First of all, do you have more ladies in the men's department?
Absolutely.
More ladies.
Absolutely. But we've seen more men step up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These guys are coaching their kids in soccer,
Yeah.
coaching their nephews in basketball and all different sports. Hey, you can spend an hour, serving in the church.
Yeah.
And they see that.
I
now.
love seeing
yeah.
guys do
They
it.
see that.
My
That's-
dad taught Sunday school.
Yeah.
It was a game
Awesome.
changer.
Yeah,
You
my
know
dad
what I
did-
mean?
my dad did too, yeah.
And I tell these guys too, man, these guys don't have that role model at home.
a
They
lot
don't
of-
see that in their house. They don't
Yeah.
they don't get that time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so for them, how many guy teachers do you know at school?
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, half of the families in our church are probably single parents.
100%.
Yeah. So
100%.
some of these kids just
That's
aren't going to
amazing.
bed with the dad in the home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so really them coming to church and knowing you and and knowing the mentors is a huge
It's
deal.
yeah.
So,
We try to partner with the parents every chance we get.
Yeah.
We only get the kids for 1 hour, and we know the minute we greet the parent, that's an opportunity to get to know them. For the minute they say goodbye, that's an opportunity to get to let that
Yeah.
parent know, hey, for an hour your kid was loved, prayed for, cared
Yeah.
for. You can't do that much in a handshake, right? But
Yeah.
me and Shane have moments at the door.
yeah.
and-
look at how
100%.
God's using you.
Yeah.
You have a wound from your childhood and now you're actually bringing
on.
restoration.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
actually for a living making
yeah.
sure kids. Well, hey, how about this? I remember when I first brought you on, and I said, "Hey, listen, don't give all these volunteers too hard of a time when they flake, because the truth is that faithfulness is a fruit of the Spirit,
100%.
right? So
Yeah.
keeping your word
Yeah.
is the Holy Spirit in you, helping you become like Christ. Christ is a man of His word.
Yeah.
He's the living word, right?
Yep.
He's the same yesterday, today, and forever.
100%.
Amen.
So you become like Christ.
Yeah.
You're gonna keep your word. So I was like, hey, you're gonna get a lot of people calling out and not able to serve. I was like, just remember, they're young in their faith,
Yeah.
and so faithfulness is a fruit of the Spirit. So help them. Even with our group, I can imagine how many guys are not showing up to group or not showing up to the 6 a.m. call.
Yeah,
definitely.
And I just want them to show up to the 6 a.m. call just to help develop keeping your word.
Oh, absolutely.
And to see
Yeah.
themselves as
Absolutely.
big, that you actually are important.
Yes.
And like
Yeah.
you got shoulder to shoulder with other guys.
Yeah.
Doing the reading every day. A lot about keeping your word is a game changer for men. Like it's the number one thing I talk to my sons about. If you say you're going to do something, do it.
yeah.
Every time.
But I remember telling you, like, hey, don't give the volunteers too hard of a time because they're not faithful yet.
Yeah.
Faithful is a fruit of the Spirit. Don't look to the world to teach faithfulness.
Come
Yeah.
on.
The
Oh,
world
never.
teaches
Hello.
flakiness.
Oh, hello.
Right?
Definitely.
Yes.
So,
No, but that's one thing that I realized, that, hey, these people have jobs, they have lives, they have things going on. And just like we wake up and have a bad day, these mentors, I don't call them volunteers because they're mentors, they're pouring into these kids' lives, and they're really spending time. They're advancing, they're kingdom advancers, we call them in the children's ministry. Yeah. But they're spending time with these children. But I know things are going to come up. And so in that moment, it's like, hey, so you're not here. It's more so like, hey, are you okay? Can I pray for you? What's going on?
Oh, that's great,
and so having my wife on the team has been really helpful because she can connect with the women and I can kind of connect with the guys. Yeah. But also having other leaders on the team has been a huge help because now, I mean, there's so many people.
How many times have you been like, have you seen me make guys do push-ups who are late to appointments with me?
Oh, every time. Yeah, you'll end up on Instagram. I'm just saying. We were obviously early because you didn't see us doing push-ups.
Exactly. Just constantly. Here's the rule, dude. We're meeting for an hour. If you are, every minute you're late, you're doing like at least 20 push-ups. I mean, I have guys doing just push-ups. I
told my guys in boot camp group last night, I said, hey, if you guys are late, just know that you guys are going to be hitting some push-ups. So you know what I mean? We're not playing. We're not playing.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. You know, you want to be, it translates into every area of your life as a husband and as a father. Okay, let's wrap this up with this. Were you always a man of your word? You were in the military, so I'm sure that was part of it. You have an incredible testimony. Let's wrap it up. Tell me if you were always a man of your word, and then tell me what really made the difference, because I know that's not an overnight process. Character doesn't happen overnight. Character happens through suffering. Yeah. Character happens through trials. I mean, character is because of discipline. So I know you don't just become a man of God. Yeah. You know, without His help.
I know for sure. Facts. So for me, it was you know, when I went in the military, I went in at 20, and I grew up in a smaller town in Washington, and not a lot of opportunities. I got to say, I was a little bit lazy. And then going in the military, going into boot camp, I remember laying my head down on that first night thinking, I should have went to college. It was like, I was like, oh my God, what did I do? 100%.
What have I done?
And I got to be there for 8 weeks. You know, it's like, you know, they're yelling at you off the bus and everything like that. It's insane. So definitely the military helped a lot. It was 6 years that I was there. And I think in the military, it's like you have no choice, really. You say you're going to do something, you have to do it. You know, you'll get the push-ups, you'll get the yelling, you'll get all this stuff, you'll get the punishment. There's no, like, safety net for you. There's no, like, coddling you or anything like that. It's like you said you're going to do it, or we put you on this task, you got to do it. And so I think that did carry over to me a little bit. I'm not going to say everything was 100% perfect. I was going to say in my marriage, actually, I've had things where it's like, especially early on, where it was like, hey, yeah, I'm going to take the garbage out. And then I didn't do it. Or,
that's the worst thing. Come on, Shane. I'm going to take the garbage out and didn't do it. I feel like you got something.
If there's a poopy diaper in there, you got to take the garbage out.
I'm not saying that's the only.
Come on, Shane. You have to have.
I'm not saying that's the only one. But it adds up, though. I think for a long time I did that for other things, like a lot of things.
It does add up.
Yeah.
You know,
you're
totally so right. It's a small thing like the trash, but I think adding up, oh, we're going to go do this weekend, and then we don't do it. Or we're going to do this. And I think I did that up to the point until my wife said, like, don't tell me you're going to do something unless you're going to do it. And that hit deep, yeah. She's like, because I would rather have you not tell me you're going to do it and me do it anyways than you to tell me to do it and then not do it.
Raise your hand if you've been there.
Oh, yes.
So, I mean, even as recently, we talked about a couple weeks ago, it was a box situation at the house. Remember I told you about it. Situation? My wife was like, hey, you're going to take care of these boxes. And I was playing with the kids. I thought I was doing a good dad thing. Half hour goes by. The boxes aren't out. She starts doing it herself.
Yeah.
And so I was in big trouble for that. But again, I think I should have jumped on it.
Well, you know I mean, every wife expects us to do what they ask right away. It's like I'm in the middle of doing something. You know what I mean? It's just like, I need you to do this.
Can't you see me being super dad over here?
I said I would do it. I said I would do it. I just didn't know you needed it in this window of time.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you know where that developed from, right? Hey, Mom, just 5 more minutes. Hey, Mom, on the game. I'm just, after this level.
Exactly.
That's where it started.
That's boyhood, yeah.
Yeah, that's where it's boyhood, right?
Yeah,
you know, we developed, like, we just, after this level. Our kids say no, after this commercial, right?
Yeah.
It's almost over. 10 more minutes in the episode, right?
That's funny. This week I told it to Logan. I walked into the gym and I said, you said that you were going to do this by 11. You said that you'd be off the video games by this time or whatever it was.
Yeah.
You know, like, we got to be men of our word, you know? Ooh. I just want to give him a vision of being a man. Not bust his chops over every mistake, because all of us make mistakes, dude.
Oh, come on.
It's just hard to not overpromise and underdeliver. You know, we want to underpromise, overdeliver.
Hello.
Always a man of your word.
I tried.
Before Christ.
So my girlfriend was pregnant, and I realized that the next right thing to do is to marry this woman. And obviously, I asked.
Was she pregnant by you?
I mean, come on. You know, we're not. No.
I met this really hot chick, and I was like, why is she
There's
into
only
me?
one Joseph, you know what I mean?
Why is this hot girl so into me? Oh, there's one hold. There's a little bit of a catch. She's pregnant. But.
Yeah, so I asked her to marry me, and we got married in August, and by February of the next year, I left and separated. So I thought I was keeping my word. I made a promise to be with her, but I was still a boy. And I didn't know what that meant. I never saw that in my life. I didn't see what it was to be committed, to see a good marriage in my life. That was never prevalent. Maybe friends, going over to a friend's house over the weekend, you hang out at a buddy's house. Oh, his dad's cool. But never did I see that ever in my life. And so I thought I was doing the right thing. Or obviously I was doing the right thing. You married the woman that you got pregnant, going around the right steps. We weren't walking with the Lord at that time. And then obviously we separated. And what I learned in that time, wow. You talk about being just hurt and just going through some times. And I think I had to go through that. I had to go through that time. But I stand before you today with a marriage that's restored, and we have 3 kids.
You're a great dad. You're a great husband.
To think that a church like Freedom Church can hire a man who left his family and said, I'm out, to then for God to restore that marriage, to then be hired as a family life director.
Amazing.
And now to be the family life it's just
that's what God does.
That's just what he does.
He takes our mess, he makes a message.
100%.
Right? He takes our screw ups and our pain. He doesn't waste it. No, I want a pastor who can talk to a guy. Hey, I actually didn't keep my word. I left the house. It caused more problems. Keep your vow. Keep your covenant. Stay in the house. I tell guys all the time, dude, if your wife kicks you out, you can't go back in time and fix your problems, but sleep in the car.
Hello.
Don't abandon your post. Sleep in the car in the driveway every night. I mean, your wife knows that you're down. She knows where you are. Your kids know that your dad didn't leave. And when he's coming back, just keep sleeping in the car and eat dirt until she forgives you. You know what I mean?
I just turned the PlayStation on so the kids think I stayed up all night and they don't realize that I'm in the doghouse. You know? Oh, Dad was just playing video games all night long. I'm not in trouble.
Oh, my God.
I chose to be out here, you know? It's my decision.
Oh, God, that's awesome.
You don't know. You don't know.
Wasn't expecting that one.
Any advice for guys keeping their word? I hope this talk is encouraging to you guys. We're talking to guys that weren't always who they are. God cares more about who you're becoming than where you're going. And I mean, whether you learn the hard way or whether you're putting the work in, you can either be humbled by God or you can grow in humility through the Holy Spirit.
100%. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I'm the kind of guy who, I'm a kind of a hard head a lot of times. And God had to humble me. He had to put me through the ringer to wake me up. You know? And I feel like there's a lot of guys who have that same story, and
definitely
you guys
100%.
can relate. So, but this boot camp is about why don't we not learn the hardest way there is?
Hello.
How about
exactly.
we put the work in and begin keeping our word in the small areas, get some momentum, become the kind of man God can trust. He's not going to trust guys who can't keep their word.
Come on.
So
at all.
Anything you want to add?
I mean, look, I attempted to keep my word, and it wasn't my intention to leave my wife, but I wasn't surrounded by God-fearing men. I didn't have the right group of guys around me. So I wasn't hearing, I was talking to guys like, yeah, bro, just leave. I mean, look, you good. You'll find another wife. That was the language I was hearing. And so once I got some right guys around me and I realized that I need some guys to encourage me to realize, hey, you found the right woman. You need to get back with your wife. What are you doing? That's your son. It was and then obviously, when you put Jesus in the center of your relationship,
100%.
everything just
you get the grace.
Everything.
You get the help.
But it started with getting the right guys around me,
and
changing my circle up, and then realizing, okay, let me get some more married guys who know what married life's about.
Exactly.
So why don't you keep your word to the guys that are in your group?
Yeah.
You got a fitness
100%.
commitment. You're
Come
doing.
on.
You got the daily challenges, nutritional. Just keep your word on that.
Pray for them by name is huge.
Yes.
I was telling the guys, that's a big one. By name.
Yeah.
Like be intentional.
And that only takes like
with
10
your prayers.
seconds. There's 10 guys, so you just
not that big a deal.
Lord, I pray for Jerry, Johnny, and Bill. Check. So
Both Sean's, both Chris's. Yeah.
There we
thanks,
go.
my dude.
Double
Thanks,
down.
guys. I appreciate you
No
guys.
worries.
In case I don't get the chance to say it again publicly, thank you guys for being pillars in our church.
Amen.
For holding it down.
Thank you so
You know
much,
what I mean? The way you guys serve and lead. You guys are great role models. I wanted to have you on the podcast because you guys embody this value.
Thank you.
And
Thank you so much,
that
man.
way, guys recognize you at church, and the rest of this boot camp. These are guys you can go to for help and mentorship. 100%. So
That's awesome. Thank you.